Welcome, I'm State Senator Michelle Mcmanus, and thank you for tuning in this month in Touch with Northern Michigan. My guest today for this month is Justice Maura Corrigan, Michigan Supreme Court Justice, and today's subject is the National Adoption Day, and National Adoption Day is November 20th. Welcome.
Right. Thank you, Senator. I'm delighted to be here with you this afternoon and to talk about my favorite topic.
And yes, well, great. We're happy to have you, and we want to talk a little bit about the history of adoption here in Michigan.
Great.
And how this day, November 20th, came about.
Good. Actually, Adoption Day itself started in 2000 nationally, and it was started by national groups like the Dave Thomas Foundation, the founder of Wendy's, who was, I believe, an adoptive child himself, and he wanted to promote adoption, and he got involved with some other foundations nationally. Started in the year 2000, and only 9 states were involved in it then. And when I was Chief Justice back in 2003, I got very interested in the problems of abused and neglected children in our state, and in the problems of children awaiting to be adopted. And I heard about Adoption Day, and I said, let's get involved in it. And we had, starting in 2003, the first Adoption Day. It turned out it was in true Michigan style. We turned out to have the biggest Adoption Day in the United States. And now Adoption Day is in all 50 states in the Union in 2007. And every year we've had the biggest program in the United States. So, you know, we're in good shape. And again, on November 20th, this year, right before Thanksgiving, we like to say give thanks for families, and we publicize adoptions, which are usually held in private, you know.
Sure. This is a relatively new concept then, to have it a National Adoption Day.
Right.
Why was Michigan kind of behind in thinking about this concept? Or
we've had problems getting adoptive families for our children in foster care. We have around 19,000 children in foster care in Michigan at any given time, and that puts us in the top about 7 or 8 in the whole United States in terms of numbers. And right now, today, we have 4,400 children who are just waiting to be adopted in our state. So we wanted to publicize the fact that we have these children that are waiting for a home, and hope that people of Michigan would open their hearts and their minds and see what it would be like to adopt one of these beautiful, innocent children.
And these are children from ages 0 to what age?
Till age 18.
18.
And, you know, I would like to be adopted myself.
Yeah.
You know? But no, we have children in care from babyhood all the way up till 18 years old.
In a foster care.
In foster care.
Now, the purpose then of this particular day is really to bring awareness to the citizens of Michigan that there isn't a National Adoption Day, and that there are these children out there, and they're looking for homes.
Correct.
Because after a child turns 18, they are what is referred to aged out. Is that correct?
Correct.
And when you're aged out, you no longer have a so-called parent. So a foster care parent really can't
They're
take.
done.
They're
yeah,
done.
The state cuts off funding, typically at age 18. To pay for foster care payments, because the state subsidizes and the federal government subsidizes foster care. And the state shuts off the spigot when they turn 18. A few exceptions, but generally at age 18, they're done. And that's a huge problem for us, a huge social problem. The head of the School of Social Work at Michigan State and one of the professors over there did a study a couple years ago about just the aging out children in Michigan. And the saddest part to me is that half of these kids wind up back in the system within just a couple years of aging out. Either they get arrested, they're in criminal courts, or they wind up in our mental health system. Because they're isolated. I mean, imagine if I cut you off from all supports, you have no family, you have no income. You might not have finished high school. About 75% of them haven't finished school. They're unemployable. So what happens to them? They have breakdowns. They have mental breakdowns. They'll get in criminal trouble. They'll get involved with drugs. and then they're back in our system. So to me, we need to be interceding at an early age, helping these children who are, after all, innocent. They just got in because they were abused and neglected. Somebody hurt them. They got into the foster care system. And when the rights of their own biological parents have been terminated, they become permanent residents of the foster care systems.
So in most cases, the parental rights have been terminated.
Right, in about, I think we're doing around 6,000 cases a year where we have terminated rights for these kids. So we've got 19,000. 6,000 of them will have terminated parental rights. The rest of them may be going home.
Can those rights be forgiven? Can they be taken back?
That's a great question. Today, no.
Okay.
In some states, in fact, several states in the union now, you can reverse termination of parental rights, because what's happening is we've got all these kids stuck in the system. And shockingly, when they turn 18, a lot of them do go back to the birth parents who abused and neglected them.
Right.
A huge number of them do. So courts around the country and states in our country are saying, we know they're going to go home, why don't, and if the parents have straightened up their act, why don't we reverse the termination and restore them? So we don't do it in Michigan, but maybe we will one day.
Is that a concept you think that is viable?
I absolutely do.
Okay.
And it's actually, I've been working with a work group of judges and experts looking at some of the problems that we're having, and that's one of the proposals that's on the table, is to take a look at that concept for Michigan.
And that is only if the parents have kind of gone through a healing step process or
Exactly.
something.
Exactly.
And so, now how did you get involved in all this? What triggered it?
Well, my first involvement happened when I was Chief Justice, and I heard about, I actually got involved in the middle of a media problem. A child who was in foster care, who was 15, was a runaway, and she was murdered. She was killed by her pimp. She had become a prostitute. And she was murdered in Monroe County, and I found out about her case. And I was horrified. I said, she ran away from foster care. No one in our system knew that she had run away. And that's what got me really interested. Like, how could this child be a ward of the state of Michigan? She had run away, she was being a prostitute, and we didn't know it.
And the foster care parents didn't report it?
It wasn't reported. And then Governor Engler was governor at the time, and he had been told then by DHS that we didn't have any runaways in foster care. And he said, what's going on? Turned out we had 300 children in runaway status. So that got me really interested in what was going on in this system. And then I appointed a work group when I was Chief Justice to look at some of these problems, and that is when I recognized for the first time, back in 2003, that we had all these children in the system waiting for homes, and what could we do about it? So.
And was the department at that time actively trying to find parents for these children?
They have been looking, but because of the budget crisis in Michigan, a lot of the adoption recruitment efforts have fallen by the wayside. And a lot of our private agencies have had huge issues in funding. And some of the adoption recruiters who used to have jobs don't have them anymore. So it's part of the reason that we're looking at going directly to the people to try to do recruitment. So Adoption Day is a piece of that.
Sure, and we celebrate Adoption Day November 20th. What kind of celebration does the state have, or do you participate in?
Well, every county is invited to participate, and usually about half of our counties will be participating. As I said, we've had the biggest programs in the United States. So,
do we highlight children who are actually trying to find homes, or how does that work?
What we do is we have the actual adoption proceeding open to the public.
Okay.
So the judge will actually do the adoption, and sometimes they're broadcast on local television.